And as we're trying to get up this hill, these 3 girls coming back from school, all on the same moped, with flip-flops, rode right past us. And they were just, all 3 of them were just looking as if to say, what are you doing?
I met a gypsy.
Bikes were always around. He never, ever travelled. Was just not a thing that he was into. And I would have to ask him, but I would be so sure that it was the long way around that got him to actually travel. Like my mum bought him this Vietnam motorbike tour thing as a gift for Christmas one year. And he went on it and reluctant. I fucking hate soup. Like, what am I don't want to go to Vietnam.
My God, yeah.
Like, imagine like an old Aussie bloke,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, yeah, all that foreign food.
Yeah. I fucking hate soup. What am I going to eat the whole time, you know? And
did he go in his little blue shorts?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
He's a true blue.
Yeah. And so they went to Vietnam and it completely changed their life.
Yeah.
Like completely. They've now, I mean, they're in New York right now. You know, they're not riding on this trip, but like my dad went to New Zealand once to coach a football team for a weekend and then
went anywhere
was never interested in traveling at all. And then he does this one trip to Vietnam, and I mean, he's probably done it 7 times. Like my mum helps with bookings for the company now. Like
bloody hell.
Some of the friends, like I met my wife because I crashed on that trip. So she was in Bali, staying in Bali.
Yeah.
And I was doing this trip with my parents. So they did it the first time themselves. We did it the second time. I fucking tucked the front, threw the thing away. Had 6 days left. And I was actually so broke at this time. I was doing the podcast, but it was...
Yeah, it was at the beginning.
Yeah, I had no money. And one of the guys, Leon, who is a great friend now, and he fucking paid for my trip to Bali to go and see the girl who's now my wife, you know. So it's like I just don't think that they would have done that, or they would have seen I don't know, like... It's the way that it came across, like you guys it was so real and it was such an adventure and it was so meaningful and you made it look accessible in a way, I guess.
It is,
you know?
really. I mean, if 2 fucking idiot actors can go off and do it, you know. I mean, the world, you could easily do it. But it is, and it doesn't have to be 4 months. It doesn't have to be in Vietnam. Here in the UK, I went with a bunch of friends and we went down to Bath with this, I don't know if...
Crazy city.
with this app called Kalimoto, and it chooses all the twisty little amazing roads.
Yeah.
And we went down there, spent the night in Bath, and then we went up through Wales and through the Brecon Beacons, and then back round through Herefordshire and back to the UK and back to London, and it was 2 nights on the road, and we just all A and B roads, and you can have this most amazing adventure just on your doorstep. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to go. I totally get it if you want to go sort of south of the Sunshine Line, you know, and you know, so you can get a little bit more guaranteed some. I get it, but there is on your back door an amazing amount of places to see. So you don't have to do the Africa and South America, Vietnam, but they are nice places to go. And Vietnam and Thailand and Cambodia are just awesome places. And I'm talking about motorcycle fanatics.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah.
When you sit there, and I remember going to Vietnam and sitting in the city in the north. I can't remember what it's called now.
I can't remember any of the names of any of the places or where they are. I'm terrible. So bad when it comes to Vietnam.
Awful. But I remember taking a taxi from the airport, and I stopped at traffic lights, and within a minute, there were 2 cars and must have been 200 motorcycles all just piling around us, and I just thought, well, this is a city I could like.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, they love it. Eh? We had
1.3 million motorcycles step-through bikes are sold a year in Vietnam. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's almost something that you guys tapped into a little bit globally, you know. And it's one of the things. I mean, I think about it all the time with the podcast. Like, it's obviously so motors and 2-wheel focused, and it's like, when you do travel to these places all over the world, you just realize that there's real moto fanatics everywhere. There was one road we were riding on, and it was one of the big kind of mountain ranges in just like who the fuck knows where, Vietnam. And these 2 kids, they heard us coming and they lived on the side of the mountain. So they'd essentially just built a shack on the side of this mountain. and they hear us coming, and they get their scooters, no helmets, no shirt, no shoes, and they get out on these scooters, and one's a full Repsol Honda, like MotoGP livery. The other one's got monster stickers all over it, and they are just like tucking in, like putting the knee down, absolutely fucking smoking us on these scooters, and just loving it. And that translates, you know, and that's a love of motorcycles and racing, and they probably watch MotoGP every weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's huge that those things. And then as well as that, you know, when I'm riding in those places and you're wearing all the gear and it's fucking roasting hot, and then these people, I remember being in the jungle in northern Vietnam, and we were doing some filming there, and we were crossing these big rivers. It was great fun, and we were stuck on this thing, the four of us, and we were wearing all that riding all the gear, no idea. Yeah. And as we're trying to get up this hill, these three girls coming back from school, all on the same moped, just get with flip flops, you know, and just rode right past us, and they were just all three of them were just looking as if to say, "What are you doing?" You know, I was so embarrassed, and they just wandered off, and off they went. And
that's unbelievable.
And I just thought, God, I'd love to be in a pair of shorts and, you know, some flip flops. You know.
Oh, that's awesome. It comes out, and how successful is it off the rip?
It wasn't. It was a slow burner, really, when it kind of started. So it was on Sky One, and I think they played it like 26 times or something. And but they kept playing. But each time they played it, it kind of sort of, it was one of those things that I think people found. Yeah. You know, and which sometimes is not such a bad thing. You know, and then people started to find it, and then it just started to get this momentum. We'd written a book as well, and the book did quite well, and then it quite quickly got this head of steam, and we were all running around, going to different motorcycle festivals and shows, and you know we had so it sort of gained this kind of thing, and then suddenly it just became something that everybody watched. I remember walking down the street and people were stopping me and saying, "Oh, I saw that TV show. And I'm not into bikes, but I really like the show," and all that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking, fucking, where does this all come from? You know?
Yeah, and it is beautiful, and especially knowing your story about your father and how successful that he was, and that you were, you know, trying to do the movie thing, and it just.
And I'd had a taste of that success. At one stage when I was, 19 years old, I'd had this. So, and then I was doing film. So I'd had that kind of success, and that's probably what made that little bit of that 10 years
even worse.
A little harder because I knew what it was. I knew what it was like, and I knew I could do it. But my dyslexia had really, and then by making these kind of films, these TV shows and stuff, it's just all just talking shite,
it's normal. It's very natural.
I'm just good at that. Talking shit. But yeah, and it kind of grew, and then Ewan and I did. I then did the Dakar Rally, and then Ewan came with Russ and Dave, because Russ produced it with me, and Dave and Ewan flew down to Senegal in the west coast of Africa, to Dakar, and to see me come in. And my wife and kids were there as well, and we were staying in it was all French. It's a very French place, and we're staying in the Novotel there. And Ewan said because it's quite a dodgy city, really, Dakar. And he said he went out to go and meet us, and he got into and they'd come down. The bags they'd lost the bags at the airport. They'd gone. There was all that kind of stuff. Got to the thing. He put all his stuff in the little safe in the hotel room, and thought, maybe I'll just take it with me. So he took his cash and other bits and pieces with him. He got out of the front of the hotel, and all these kids came running up behind him. And by the time they got into the taxi, everything had gone in these things. And he goes, "Fucking hell, Charlie!" Just everything disappeared. And then and then there was all these big trucks. There was these motorcycles. There was Africa. There was Africa. There was all sorts of stuff that going. Yeah, one fucking job you had.
Literally.
I mean, literally one job. But there's still a little bit of coffee in there left.
Fuck That's so good.
And I think all that kind of that smell of Africa,
It just lit
all
him
that-
back up again, eh?
Yeah, and I think it kind of and we'd always at the end of each trip that we've done together, we've always spoken about
What's
because
next?
part of giving a trip up, part of you is desperate to get home. There's a part of you which doesn't want to give it up, and you just want to carry on, And if someone said, "Oh, Charlie got to New York, do you want to go back and do it again?" And go, "Yeah," Then you start talking about. Then
What's
you start
next?
talking about, what you fancied about what doing next, like long way round. I talked a lot about the Dakar rally, and we'd be riding along. We'd have our Dakar moments in the sand, and we always spoke about Africa.
Yeah.
We always talk about, going through Africa, and I think when Ewan saw that, I remember we were sitting there, and he goes, "You know what? Fuck it, Charlie. Let's do Long Way Down." So we did Long Way Down. And then that was very successful as well, and
I'm assuming that's a much easier sell.
It wasn't a much easier sell, and we did that one with the BBC, with that one, and then we sold it around the world, and it was a big success.
Did the production stay the same?
Yeah, it
The
was
crew
just
and
the four of us. There was no Claudio was the same guy.
That's awesome.
We had we had Lucy Trujillo, who was our kind of producer.
Yeah.
That she still works with us now, 20-something years later. She still works on all the Long Way stuff. And then went down to Africa, and that was amazing. I'd always been in love with Africa. And I went there when I was a little kid with Dad during apartheid. We went to South Africa, and he played some of his movies there. Particularly one which was called Leo the Last, which was about all the Jamaicans coming to Notting Hill, but treated quite badly, and it was all about that. So he went down there, sort of slightly anti-apartheid and stuff. And I remember going there. I remember I was 7, 8 years old, and going there, not understanding why there were white people in the front of the bus and black people in the back. I couldn't understand this whole apartheid thing. And I'd fallen in love with Africa then. I just thought, fuck, what a place, And so then we did Africa and went down through, Sudan and Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Malawi, and Botswana, Namibia, and then down into Cape Town, and it's just extraordinary part of the world, And I remember times when you're sitting on the road waiting for 60 elephants to cross the road, and you're going, come on,
Get on with it, boys.
Get on with it, and the animals everywhere, everywhere you went, there's animals. And in Ethiopia, they have these famous long-haired monkeys up in the mountains, and there's nowhere else in the world that I've traveled that there are wild animals like in Africa. We've killed them, all of them. They've all been killed off. But in
Except for
Africa, you sit there and you get 60 elephants crossing the road. You get giraffes, zebras. You get kudu, eland. You get hippos. It just goes on and on. They're just all there. And so it's really, and you're camping, and Ewan will tell you, we're lying there one time, and you can hear elephants walking around your tent and breaking branches, and you can hear them munching. They're so close, and
That's
this is amazing.
unbelievable.
Yeah, and the people. There are so many people on living there. It's just it's extraordinary. The vibrance and the life.
You just finished watching a clip from the full 3-hour podcast. You're on our Clips channel. The full podcast live on the Gypsy Tales podcast channel. It's linked right here. Go over to that channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and make sure you never miss a full episode of the Gypsy Tales podcast. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you want to watch it on the go, you can also head to our iTunes or Spotify to get the full 3-hour podcast in audio format.
I met a gypsy.